Welcome, guys, to the Real Man Podcast. This is your host, Coach Bricks, and I'm honored. This is one of my old buddies, man, in the field of strength and conditioning, sports performance. He and I go back. Actually, he and I spoke at a couple conferences together at Juniata College. That's where we actually first met. And, he and I hit it off right away. We have very similar mindsets in our training, not only in that, but in our life. You know what I mean? How we see life and how we see it. And that's why you're going to hear some things here that he's going to talk about that, will probably be tough to hear sometimes, but you got to hear them. Some difficult things that I've always talked about, the tough love, the things that go on. We grew up in a different time than it is now. And I value his input, his knowledge, his wisdom that he brings, not only just to the strength and conditioning part, which I value greatly from what he does, but also from, everyday life. When he and I talk, we always talk about different things, and it's invaluable to me personally. And I know you guys are going to get a ton out of this. And this gentleman runs a phenomenal facility down in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. Has grown it up from what it was at one point, went to another facility. Now it's not even a bigger facility. And that's because of how well he is and what he does. And it's a Parisi outfit. It's a franchise. But then he also has an adult program to it, which is the Training for Warriors, which he does phenomenal work with the adults with. So this guy's doing it. He's in the trenches every day. He's not just talking to talk. Just like a lot of my men that I have on here, they're not just talking to talk. They're not just telling you things and then they do something different. These guys are actually in the trenches doing what they say. And that's why I value him so much. And without me going on anymore, Coach Eric Mitchell, how are you today, man? I greatly appreciate you being on, man.
Well, it's an honor for me to be with you. And you know how long it's been? 7 years, man, since we've known each other. 7 years. And I think about this because I've been in the industry 30 years. I've been in the sports performance industry for 16 years. And of those 16, 7 I've known you. And I just remember just the impact you had on me at the Juniata conference. And don't forget too, I went to Juniata.
Yeah, you did.
So I always, that's where I graduated from. But it was really exciting for me when you approached me about this. When I first saw that you had started this Real Man podcast, I really, it resonated with me so much more than just there's so many podcasts out there about training and performance and all that. And I just thought, hey, somebody's addressing some real needs in our entire community. And I think it not just with, when you say real men, but it definitely affects the women in our society, the children in our society. And I was going to actually text you and say, hey, any chance I could get on the podcast? So
you know it. It was just a matter of time for me to get you on. I was going to have you. I love you, man. So
I love you too, brother.
Definitely going to put you on. All right, so I want to get into it here. So,
okay,
what is your definition of leadership?
Wow, that's a great question. I really think it's to bring the trust, the power that you bring to the table, that you can get others to trust your values, to trust your vision, to trust your input, to trust your ability to lead them in directions that they need to move towards with virtue. And I really believe in that very strongly. And that whole thing we've been talking about, everything's on virtual now, virtual. And if you really look up that definition of virtue, it really means to bring integrity to the way that you perform in life. If you can lead that way and lead from the front by doing that, that's true leadership. That you bring people somewhere that they were, and then you can bring them to another level through your integrity and your vision. That's what I define leadership as.
That's awesome. What do you think in today's society, okay, right now, 2021, 2020, 2019, just going back a couple years, but right now, what do you think's lacking with leaders today? Because I do believe that there's less leaders, less real people that are actually leading. So what do you think's lacking?
Sure, I think one of the big issues is that their inability to trust themselves. They don't have a lot of trust in themselves right now. I think there's a lot of people out there that are looking for, I liken it back to, if you look at the typical athletes now at the professional level, not everyone, I'm just saying you see this a lot, that they're more interested in their social media posts than they are in the team that they're playing for or the organization that they're playing for. So I think what's lacking is this feeling of community. And I mean in the sense of working together with people to achieve something better. And I think that self-inherent lack of trust that we have in ourselves right now is certainly affecting leadership. And Dave, you know what? It shows everywhere, from politics to the social settings that we're in, to the athletes that you and I both train. I can tell you, it is very different from 20 years ago when we were training athletes. It was certainly different from when you and I were athletes. There's this lack of trust and belief in people's ability